And now, Jabroni Studios, in association with Big Herm Productions, is proud to present to you, recording from an undisclosed location in Oakdale, Connecticut, it's Chris Burns, it's Chris Lynch, this is Dysfunction Junction.
Welcome everybody to the train ride from hell and the non-stop to nowhere. Your feet are up. You've got a blanket around you. You're feeling cozy. You're feeling warm. You're feeling secure. You look out the window. The signpost up ahead says, "Welcome to Dysfunction Junction."
Fuck yeah.
My name is Chris Burns. To my immediate left, my co-host.
Mr. Lynch.
And to my immediate right, the producer extraordinaire, Michael P.S. Big Herm Herman.
What's up?
How's everybody doing today?
Doing all right.
2 weeks
Very well.
off, man. By the way, first things first, thank you, Big Herm, for a fantastic Memorial Day spread.
Oh, thank you very much.
Oh, I must have ate half my weight again in barbecue.
Pork butts. Burnt ends.
Oh, so many ribs.
Quick mention.
Yeah.
The barbecue chicken ranch schneebits.
Oh, the shotgun shells.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are fucking amazing.
If it wasn't for the fact that I've known you for 30 fucking years, and I said 30 fucking years, I would slap the ever-loving shit out of you right now because my daughter ate one, she loved it, and she was gassy for that entire ride back to Vermont.
Oh, you're welcome.
But it was delicious.
She loved it. She thought it was great, and I came back after the fact.
Little Miss Choosy, she refused to eat anything,
Yeah,
and then she
until
grabbed
she
one of
ate
those,
it.
and all of a sudden, it was. It's almost like I knew what the fuck I was
doing.
doing.
The funny thing was, I took the rest of the meat that you had piled on my plate, and I put it in foil. I must have looked like Neanderthal Jones riding down 91, grabbing this hunk of meat and just tearing off on it. Again, fantastic spread. Good job by you.
Oh yeah, I mean,
and,
I have 2 full racks that were smoked and for that event that never got touched, that I cryovac'd and froze. So I have 2 full racks of ribs in the fridge,
Yummy.
All right.
in the freezer, just sitting there waiting to.
But stemming off of your party, I have to point to Lynch before we get to quick hits because Lynch has never really, other than here in the studio. Look, we record in this mother-in-law apartment / salon.
It's kind of sterile.
studio.
It's a little sterile.
Yeah.
We
come in, we do our job, and we go home.
We kind of need it that way though. We need it
Right.
kind of sterile here.
But what Lynch found out.
Yes,
When
Lynch
I brought up shit that Herm says, Lynch got his fill of what shit Herm says.
Lynch came to a private party where Lynch had been drinking, where Herm...
Lynch was not drinking.
No, Lynch was not drinking. Let me rephrase that.
The rest
sorry.
of you were drinking.
We were, and I personally had been drinking. Now Lynch showed up about 3:00 in the afternoon. I had been drinking since about 11:30 the night before when I started the smoker. So, I'd had a beer or 2,
or 4,
or
12,
or a lot,
or 16.
I was on my second 12-pack. Let's be honest.
Yeah, but it's Reds. It doesn't count.
But the food was amazing. Oh,
Yes, it was.
It's 5%. So I'll take it all day.
All right, fair.
But yeah. So Lynch learned through Herm's loose lips and some things that Herm spoke on at the party. And he learned some interesting facts about the Big Herm.
So this is Lynch's version. I did one in December. Now, here we are in June. Let's welcome you back to the shit that Herm says.
Oh, that's
This one
nice.
is all on Lynch. So the floor is yours, my friend.
All right, so sitting
take it
through
away.
the party, I could tell just by looking at Mike, he'd been up for a day and a half.
And just so everybody knows, this fucker took notes.
I did. It's on a notepad.
This fucker
on my
came
phone
to my party and took notes on Drunk Herm. Just so we're saying, just so you know what kind of person he is.
This may or may
This
not be
fucker
admissible
took
in
notes.
court.
You fucking investigative
It's
fuck.
It's the journalist in me.
It's kind of what you do, and this may or may not be admissible in court someday.
For fucking, I did not poop on the bed. I'm just gonna say it.
Thank you, Amber.
I took a herd.
Amber, no.
Amber, no.
All right. So anyway, I'd gotten there around 3:00, and Mike was noticeably tired and under some sort of.
And just in my defense, I had been awake since midnight on Friday.
Right.
So I did a whole day shift Friday, came home Friday after working all day, and started cooking and prepping for the Saturday for the party. That whole, or whatever it was. It was a Sunday with a Monday. I worked a 14-hour shift.
It was a Monday.
And then came home at like 8 o'clock at night, took 2-hour nap, and then woke up. So I hadn't slept in 2 days, and I had been extremely drinking.
So sitting there shooting the shit, and then of course the day opens with the blueberry bush story, which I had already heard, and it was still comical.
Okay,
it's still comical to hear that
Fucking
again.
blueberry bush.
So I heard that. Then he goes on to tell me, or actually tell the party.
Somehow it came up.
I don't know how the fuck this came up. I don't know whether we were talking about things that may or may not be human. Herm has extra wisdom teeth in his head.
I do.
Okay.
Like you don't even see in real human beings. Like the only people they know that had them was like cavemen, like Cro-Magnon man.
He has extra vertebrae in his tailbone.
Yep. I have 6. No, I don't have a tail, fuckers.
I was going to say he's 1 vertebrae away from a tail.
I don't have a tail.
I was curious about that.
There's 6 bones in the space that the rest of you have 5.
Well, aren't you special?
Has a very lovely tattoo of Loretta Lynn on his right shoulder.
Oh yeah, Loretta Lynn. Talk about that, please.
Yeah. Loretta Lynn.
And I think I was the one that pointed that out because for whatever reason, if you ever see Big Herm without a shirt on, don't eat before you see this. And if
it's a normal occurrence,
right?
So.
But if you do, I see it way too often. I don't want to talk about it.
They like it.
But I had never seen.
I have a nipple that looks like a croissant.
We're not talking about the croissant right now. It scares my daughter. She still has nightmares.
It's all right.
But he has this tattoo on his back, and I'm looking at it. I had just shown back up at 6 o'clock after dropping my daughter off. It's about 6:15. Herm's got no shirt on. His shorts are down around half of his butt because he doesn't have one, and his crack is showing, and we're all making fun of it. And I said, Herm, is that a tattoo of Loretta Lynn on your shoulder? And then the explanation came, so you may as well tell the folks, is it Loretta Lynn?
No, it's not. It's not Loretta Lynn.
Who is it then?
It's
Are you going to die?
I'm not.
Please don't die.
It's an Apache Indian female tattoo. It's a tattoo of a female. She's got green eyes like Jen does.
Okay.
And that's what it is. All of my tattoos are pretty much of a Native American theme.
Very good.
What else did we learn, Lynch?
Well,
yes, please.
That he has absolutely no ass and wants to grow an anal goatee.
Okay, the ass part I've known him for 35 years. 30, but yeah, over 30
Somewhere
years.
around there.
Yeah. So I can attest he's all back and no crack. He's just from his neck to his legs,
Yes.
it's all straight.
Jen calls me flapjack because I'm flat.
As well she should.
You're like the first cooked side of a pancake.
Yes.
There you go. Wow, nice.
There it is. Yep, there it is.
He has a 29-inch inseam.
Yes.
Which
Now, I'm 6 foot. He's 6'2".
I'm 5'10", and I have a 30-inch.
I have a 30 to 34-inch inseam.
Depending on what shoes you're wearing.
Yeah.
I'm a gorilla.
So I am
I have
convinced
little short legs and I have really long fucking
that there
arms.
needs to be a new person on the.
I'm literally like my own branch of the fucking evolutionary
You
tree.
mean on the evolutionary train?
Evolutionary-
Yeah, like
tree.
I'm my own fucking branch. What's up?
You really are.
Between Cro-Mag and us, there needs to be
There's like a Herm branch.
Chromo sapien,
Heard Chromo sapien.
and that's Herm. Because he is his own fucking species.
Okay, full disclosure.
Motherfucker can touch his knees without bending over.
Full disclosure, we're standing at his house before he came here, and he said something about homeowners insurance, and I made the old Beavis and Butthead joke. We have homeowner insurance? Goes, yeah, I certainly do.
Yes.
Like, you don't need that outside of San Francisco, but, whatever. But, no, and until he showed it before we went hot that he could reach down and touch his own knees without bending, I was not sold on this, and I had to see it for myself. And folks, we're not gonna do this live. We have a different bit that we want to do live. Because Jesus Christ, he can touch his own knees.
Yeah, I literally just
bending.
have to shrug my shoulders and lean them forward, and I pretty much can touch.
My man is the love child of Harambe and Bigfoot. Barbara Alvarez.
Who is your father? Chewy.
Chewy,
Right. And who was your mother?
Mrs. Chewy.
Right, there you go. What else did you learn about Herm? Was
the
there
lunch
anything?
lady. No, that's really about it.
That's it.
I kind of redacted all the really.
That's probably a good thing.
So some of the jokes I told weren't told.
Yeah,
There's nothing wrong with throwing the jokes out there, especially.
Well, I didn't write them down, so you know me. If I don't write it down, I forgot it.
The only person I'm glad you didn't write jokes down was Timmy. And if you're listening, Tim, get some new jokes. That's all I gotta say.
Robichaux's here. Let the dick jokes.
Yep.
begin.
Yeah.
We had a bet, and I don't know. Nobody marked it down. I said, "What time is Timmy Robichaud showing up?" Oh, 5:00.
5:03.
What's the over/under on the first dick joke?
It was in the first 15 minutes.
Was it really?
Yeah, it was.
Okay, because Mike was
Yeah,
uncertain.
I was inebriated and still working food. So.
Yeah.
Right. I was uncertain, but I was there 25 minutes before I heard the first dick joke, and
Yeah.
I looked over at Mike. I'm like, Mike, did he make the cut? And he's like, nah, he beat it, bro. He
kinda
beat it.
He kind of beat it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Tim, we love you, kid. Don't get us wrong, but you got to get some new jokes. The dick jokes.
New dick jokes.
Yeah, no, not even new dick jokes.
no,
just new jokes
Just new
in general.
jokes. All right. Yeah.
I mean, the dick jokes were cool 20 years ago.
They were,
but
but now we're old.
I'm sure there's a retired sitcom writer that could just hand you jokes. You know.
Sure. And
I think Artie Lang needs a gig right about now.
maybe. But I got a couple quick hits I'd like to throw out, and I sent you guys a picture last night.
You
And
did.
I'm going to share the picture on Dysfunction Junction so you can see what we're talking about. I'm not a huge wrestling fan anymore, and I don't know how you guys feel about it, but I watch the big shows. WrestleMania, Hell in a Cell, SummerSlam.
I got to be honest.
Please.
I take a peek at AEW.
Oh.
Is it? No.
I know.
I know you. But
It has its moments. I'll give it that.
It very much appeals to me, to the old Smoky Mountain.
Like USWA, ECW.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm just there's a very nostalgic feel. I don't really care who the wrestlers are. There's just a very nostalgic feel to the whole show.
Certainly fair.
And I'm not saying it's a good show. It's just very nostalgic.
So last night after the race finished, which are you gonna die?
Oh my God, my allergies.
Please don't die.
My allergies are killing me.
Please don't die. I took a Claritin earlier. I'm good right now.
I take anything; it just doesn't fucking work. Anyway, go ahead.
Cocaine. That's all.
Works too well.
Okay.
I'm going to clean.
So after the race was over yesterday, which you'll hear all about on the Speed Review Wednesday night live on Facebook and on YouTube, come join us. We have a good time. We decided we're going to watch Hell in a Cell. It's like one of the crown jewels. There used to be WrestleMania, SummerSlam, Survivor, and Royal Rumble. Now it's like Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, Hell in a Cell, and SummerSlam. Survivor has now moved along to the side.
Yeah, it's kind of a secondary show.
Right.
It's a show that determines a big show.
Pretty much, yeah. It's not a big show anymore. It determines what's going to happen on the big show.
Yeah, it's a qualifying round now.
So the main event was supposed to be, and it was, Cody Rhodes recently returning to the WWE versus Seth Rollins inside the Hell in a Cell structure. I'm not going to sit here and describe to you what the Hell in a Cell means. Go look it up. Go have some fun.
It's a big cage.
It's a very large cage. Back in the day, you could see a guy like Mick Foley get thrown off the top of it 20 feet onto a table.
Oh, yeah.
And damn near die.
Yeah.
Shane McMahon, same thing. So many others. There were some bloody messes in that match, but I watched about 15 minutes of the pre-show leading up to it, and they're like, Cody Rhodes tore a pec during training or in a match or whatever the fuck he did. He's going to compete. Okay, cool. He's going to perform. He's going to have a good time. He's going to give the people what they paid for. Cody Rhodes comes out. He takes his jacket off, and you see his right pec and his right arm completely bruised and
completely discolored.
It was
completely discolored.
It was difficult to look at, and he performed the match, 35 minutes of a fantastic match against Seth Rollins. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, dude, you have to be a gamer to do this. And I know a lot of you guys out there are saying, well, professional wrestling's not real athletes. I've been around a lot of professional wrestlers.
It's not real wrestling. However, there's a
athletic.
Shitload of athletics
You're goddamn right. And a shout out to my deceased friend Joe Laurinaitis, Road Warrior Animal, or to Gary the Pitbull Wolf, or to Bob Backlund, who I've made friends with over the years. These guys are athletes. They may not be performing athletic competition, but they're performing unlike, say, you watch a movie and they take 6 takes to get that one shot right. These guys are one take Jones in front of a crowd of 20,000 people. I gotta give Cody a lot of credit. I don't know that. I mean, I've broken a toe, I've broken a leg, I've had a bunion, I've had all sorts of shit that I still go to work with, but I don't know that I could go out and perform in front of 20,000 people with this malady and put on the show that Cody did. And I have to give a lot of credit to Seth Rollins for carrying him through some of that, but Cody just, wow. Especially in a day and age where people look at guys like LeBron James, who stubs a toe and he's out for 3 weeks. Fuck you. Fuck you. Cody went out there with a torn pec and tore the house down. Oh, wow. Nice.
Wait a minute.
That's an old joke. I'm glad he brought that back. Hey, do you know what a bicep sounds like when it tears?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, the pec was already torn. You could see the discoloration in his pec, down his arm. Good on Cody Rhodes. And my second quick hit, and this is the part where I need you, Lynch, to go to the Dysfunction Junction. Let me try that again in English. The Dysfunction Junction Show Facebook page. And we're going to live. And I'm going to share this everywhere because I need people to hear this. Mike knows about this, and I don't know how much you know about it, Lynch, but I'm going to get the tweets, and you let me know when we're ready.
Oh, I don't want to look at my ugly face.
Well, nobody does.
Set it up. He should be able to just go right in like an admin.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I'm on the Meta.
Are we live?
Yeah.
All right. So after the show, I go upstairs, getting ready to go to bed, and I made the mistake of going to Twitter. And what I saw was ex-WWE wrestler. He wasn't really very good. His real name is, I think, Ryan Reeves. He goes by the name Ryback. And his gimmick was the big guy. Yeah, really great fucking gimmick. And I looked at this tweet, and it reads as follows. At Cody Rhodes will be fine tonight. I've watched Kofi Kingston wrestle his whole career without pecs and be successful. Okay, so you already know, if you've known me for 8 seconds, you already know I'm going to get shitty. So I tweeted him back. And I said, that's cool, fatback. We've all watched you wrestle your entire career without talent. Stop digging on talent and get some yourself. And it took about 48, 50 seconds before I got this. And you guys won't see this, but if you can see it here, it says, Ryback blocked you. Because Ryback, yeah, exactly.
Aww.
Ryback likes to talk, but Ryback, yeah, exactly.
His little feelings were hurt.
Oh, and I was already hot because of what was going on during the race from St. Louis at the Worldwide Technology Raceway, and I was arguing with those morons. Now I have this big fat, he's not fat, he's built, but this no-neck idiot who has zero talent, who has zero charisma, and couldn't draw flies if he was covered in shit, talking bad on Cody Rhodes, and then Kofi Kingston, who is actually a pretty good performer. No, you idiot, you fat-headed fuck. I got nothing for you. And I called you out. And what did you do? You didn't engage me. You blocked me. So, fatback, if you ever want to come on this show and argue with me about this, here it comes. JunctionDysfunctionShow@gmail.com. You fat-headed, no-neck prick. I've got your ass, and we've got it so where you can call in right here on The Gimmick. You can talk to me or Lynch or Herm. All they have to do is watch one of your matches, and they're going to go, wow, this guy's the drizzling shits. Because we've seen good performers over the years. What we have not seen is good performance from you. So, you thick-neck fuck, if you want to debate me, you might have the muscle and you could kick my ass. But mentally, I'm going to bury you each and every fucking time. My name is Chris Burns, and I approve this message.
Yo!
Oh. That fucking idiot. I swear to Christ. And you know me. I'm not gonna sit back. I'm not gonna watch this. What Cody Rhodes did? Fantastic. Fatback wouldn't have done that.
Nope.
I dare say, no offense, I don't want to disparage your dead, but the Ultimate Warrior wouldn't have done that. I don't know how many guys would have gone out there with a torn pec and done what Cody did.
No, that's tough shit.
Yeah. And I'm going to give him credit. And
that's like some hockey player shit.
Exactly. That's Clint Malarchuk shit right there. And you brought up Clint Malarchuk earlier today. If you guys don't know, look up Clint Malarchuk, Buffalo Sabres goalie.
And the quarter-sized chunk of his cheek.
Oh, my...
Yeah, I remember that happening.
I watched that
he had
live.
sewed on and finished the fucking game and bitched the whole time that he had to wear a fucking mask.
Ugly. Just ugly. But but we live in a world where LeBron James is looked at as a fucking god. Stubs his toe and he's out for 2 weeks. Cody Rhodes went out there and did his thing, and then Fatback wants to come and say his piece. Fuck him and fuck the fucking Diaz brothers.
Yep.
I'm done. I just can't deal with it. Fatback could have been a hey stupid. I'm gonna keep calling you Fatback, Ryan, until you know what? Fuck it. I'm not even gonna call you Fatback, Ryan. I'm gonna be a man, Ryan. If you want to come on the show, we're gonna send you the information. I'm blocked on Twitter, but guess what? These two gentlemen aren't. And they're going to send you the information. And maybe I'll find your website, if you have one, www.fatback.com, and we're going to have an interview. You want to go? Let's go. You sucked. You always going to suck. You're always... Fuck. There are so many guys who could have had your spot, and for whatever reason, they loved you, and then they released you like they should have. Mm-hmm. You fucking cunt.
Yep.
Whoa.
Wow.
No. Whoa, nothing. This guy is lips and no clit. That's all he is.
All right.
Do you want to tell the people what we're talking about this week? Because I'm fucking hot. I'm hot.
All right, guys. So here's what's going on. We've had a lot of some shootings in the news, and we've had Buffalo and Uvalde, and there's more. And right now, the
Philadelphia.
Yep, their locations are all escaping me. A lot of the shootings are happening, and that everybody wants to talk about gun control, but we've got people on both sides that either don't know what to do, or they don't want to do it. And we've decided that us three Joes are going to try and come up with a reasonable gun control bill, and we're going to put it out and see what people think. If the government can't do a little bit of regulation and a small amount of taking care of what it needs to take care of, then regular people need to start putting the ideas forward and making sure that the politicians know that these are the ideas that we want pushed.
Okay.
We the people.
Exactly.
By the people, for the people.
So, if I may be so bold.
You may.
Uh-huh.
You brought up the topic. Why don't you lead the show?
Well, there's a lot going on right now, and we've had shootings, and we're seeing a lot of shootings lately in states where all of the guns were purchased, quote unquote, legally. All right, so you're seeing very small and slight restrictions in states where the gun access is extremely easy to get, and bad things are happening. Now, you're not seeing mass shootings and craziness happening in some of the states where it's a little tougher to make that happen with the legal firearms. And basically what it comes down to is roughly somewhere between 65 and 70% of the mass shootings that have happened, the 65 to 70% of those guns were all obtained legally.
Mm-hmm.
So if they were obtained legally, well, and let me preface this, I'm a Second Amendment supporter.
So, as am I.
All right? I think all of us in the room are Second Amendment supporters. However, I think that given the advent of how easily people are moving towards the using a firearm issue rather than having a discussion issue, something needs to be done.
Well, in the sentiment I've seen throughout the last couple of weeks is like, all those thoughts and prayers really don't bring those kids back. And it doesn't help. Thoughts and prayers don't change the laws, or they don't change mindsets.
Right, and we get a lot of the thoughts and prayers concept.
Bless you.
When
Thank
this
you.
stuff goes down from the right.
Right.
Now, I'm the extreme left also wants to just take them away, and I'm not down with that. But thoughts and prayers are great as a bless you.
He's allergic to me.
I'm gonna die.
Thoughts and prayers are great as a sentiment of empathy.
Yeah, and condolence.
However, they don't solve problems.
Yeah, they don't bring the kids back. They don't bring anything. They don't change the situation as it happens.
They don't solve anything in the future.
Now, there was one celebrity who said something that people jumped on, and I like his line of thought. Matthew McConaughey basically said we need to have the discussion because we can talk about it all day. We can sympathize and empathize about this all day long, but the bottom line is make the change, be part of the change. And people are jumping on about, you're just Matthew McConaughey up on your big fucking high horse. He's like, no, he's encouraging people to talk, think things through. Let's make this an intelligent conversation. We may never be able to stop this kind of crime, but we can at least make every fucking effort to quell it, to not have a guy like down in Uvalde.
Right.
He legally obtained all those weapons.
Right.
And he financially, you're talking about he had a handgun and
two AR-15s
and two assault rifles.
I don't categorize an AR-15 as an assault rifle. It does not have selectable fire.
No.
But that's just me personally.
No, you talk financially. That's a big nut for an 18-year-old kid to come up with to buy all those weapons.
It is, but it is for us here in Connecticut. Is it in Texas?
I'm just saying from a third party. If I were to arm myself like that, I know pretty much what it would cost me.
Right.
With all the ammo, the weapons themselves,
right,
magazines, etc.
Right, and you have to factor in the restrictions on guns and how difficult it is. Versus, I think that with the ease that it is to get guns down there, because you have there isn't a supply and demand issue. You can get them anywhere you want them, so they're cheaper.
Yeah, and
you talk to anybody in a state where guns are more easily obtained than here in Connecticut, and they're cheaper because it's easier to move them because they're not. Yeah,
they're not just sitting on stock.
They're not right. They're moving them.
Yeah, they're not carrying an inventory.
Nope, they're just moving them.
We can talk about this case by case, but I'm talking about generalizations and making a broad
That's kind of where I was. Is more towards the concept of a bill.
Right.
The rules that need like I'm I think 21 is a reasonable number for a handgun.
Yep.
Or for anything classified as an assault rifle. Other than a long gun, which is hunting. Now, in Connecticut here, in order to even go into a store and purchase a long gun, you have to have a hunting license.
Right.
You don't have to have a concealed carry, but you have to have shown that you've taken the course, that you know how to handle the firearm.
Right.
I don't see why that's a problem. I feel that that's only a problem for ignorant fucks.
Yeah.
It wasn't one thing that when we were young, when our dads or our granddads first introduced us to a weapon, one of the first things they said was have respect for the weapon.
Well, you always
understand what it can do, and another thing was,
right, and the power that it has
exactly
to change and end and take away life.
Correct.
Whether intended or not.
Correct. And one of the things our Second Amendment says is, we're not going to infringe upon your rights to bear arms.
Defend yourself.
Correct. Right. But depending on what side you listen to, and there are people on either side of this aisle politically, and this is the last political thing that we're going to talk about, is that there are people on both sides of the aisle that say, well, just outlaw guns. Well, how's that work for drugs? How's that worked for prostitution? How's that worked for pornography? How's that worked for all of this stuff that you've tried, and it's failed miserably?
Right. So the only people that won't have the ability to defend themselves are law-abiding citizens.
Correct.
You put the law-abiding citizens at a disadvantage over the criminals.
If you outlaw guns, only outlaws will have guns.
Right.
So,
well, it's very similar to the decriminalization of drugs. You make it illegal. Look how well prohibition worked out for us.
Exactly.
I mean, it did.
Didn't.
The mob grew.
It only made the criminals richer, more powerful, and they dug their feet in even harder and deeper, and their roots were firm in Chicago, New York, Boston, you name it, down Florida. It made them the most powerful men in the world. And the same thing is going to happen if you do that with guns. I honestly, again, this is just me. I'm speaking for myself, not the other two guys in the room, but me personally. The Uvalde case, they had already had interaction with that kid previously. Why was it not red flagged? Should there be a policy?
No, but that and that's another part of this topic is that you've got red flag laws, and then you've got states that specifically have in place anti-red flag laws. So you've got places like Texas and Oklahoma where they have laws in the books on the state level, not just the district,
right?
But on the state level, that no matter what your classification and how dangerous you are classified mentally, the local authorities cannot go in and take your guns.
Well, I can understand
that's a problem.
Taking the guns, I can actually understand that, because at some point they were sane enough to own it. I'm just again assuming they were sane enough to purchase the gun.
Right.
Now, I'm talking more at point of purchase.
They were, but this comes down to they've had them, and now you've done some fucked up shit, and it's been determined by medical facility. This isn't just like someone saying, "Yo, he's fucked up." This is like somebody being able to back it up with medical documentation.
These are people with a lot more zeros in their paycheck than we have.
And the correct documentation to say this person is dangerous, and we feel that him owning a gun is a problem, and they have laws in place that say, "Sorry, too bad, so sad." Second Amendment. Now that's not regulated. That's not a regulated militia of any kind.
No. So there's a question for all of us: is that constitutional to make that part of the process? Is it constitutional to say, all right, I'll use 30 years old as just a happy average guy, has handled guns in the past, he was brought up around guns, but he finally decides to get his carry permit. If he has a clean mental record, let's say, no signs of depressive or angry behavior, no outbursts. He's been pretty much a law-abiding citizen his whole 30 years.
All right, let's
up until that point.
Let's fast forward 10 years.
Yep. Now shit's different.
Right.
Now shit's different, and that's the hard part. That's going to be the hard part to regulate.
It is. However, when we deem that you have exhibited behavior that takes away your right to be a part of society, we put you in prison.
Well, and also,
so we're not putting you in prison, sir, but we've deemed that you technically aren't responsible enough for that right. We take rights away when and it's not just this right.
Right.
We take rights away when society finds that you are not able to stay within the boundaries of those rights.
So it goes very much hand in hand with drunken driving. It is a privilege for you to drive. It is your right
Absolutely.
to travel.
It's your right to travel and move your things and everything around as you wish.
It is a privilege
However,
to be licensed.
doing it in a car is a privilege.
Correct. And in order for you to get that privilege, you have to go through safety courses. You have to take the test. You got to pass it, do a road test, and then 10 years down the road, you go out and you're drunk and you kill 5 people. Guess what? We take that privilege away from you.
Right.
Ban the car.
Right. You have the privilege, and it's a privilege.
Well,
However, there is a department and an institution that issues the right to utilize that or not.
Right.
So, yes, we can take rights away if you establish and show and demonstrate that you don't deserve to have those same rights. And we're not talking about slavery and people will, oh, that's a slippery slope. Shut the fuck up.
It really isn't, because
Shut the fuck up.
We already have this oversight, and it's called policing.
All right, we have it here in Connecticut. I have no issue with the way that in the hoops that I have to jump through. Look, the fact that I walked into the store and said, I want to buy a gun, and he said, well, there's a whole process and you got to wait. I said, wait, you mean the fucking system actually fucking works?
Exactly.
It does.
It does work when it's done correctly. And that's the...
And am I right? My right to carry that firearm concealed wasn't taken away. I just had to demonstrate that I knew how important that right was.
Right. And that's where the fuzzy logic comes in from the left, is like, just take them all away. Ban them all.
Right.
We don't need guns.
Right. Well, that's the complete opposite of, hey, they're coming for my guns. No, they just want to make sure that you're not fucking nuts, bro.
I mean, when you're also talking Texas, where it's open carry, and anyone can literally walk into a Walmart or a Kroger's and buy a fucking gun.
I'm completely good with open carry.
So am I. I think it levels the playing field.
I think it does. In the Wild West, you were very respectful because everybody had a gun and you knew that they'd shoot you if you were stupid.
Exactly.
And got out of line. Everybody was respectful. However, the concealed carry, yes, totally needs to be classes and people exhibiting the right to have it.
No, I know. There's people in Connecticut that
the ability to exercise that right.
Right, and correctly. I know there's people who have the feeling, well, just because you're a gun owner and you're licensed to carry, you shouldn't carry in public.
Why not?
Well, because it's the snowflakes that...
Just because you can shoot sperm doesn't mean you can be a father next.
Well, exactly.
And you don't even need a license for that.
If I were...
Butt ream an asshole, be a dad.
Exactly. No, a father.
If I were to...
Only the good people are dads.
Right.
If I were to take one of my 2 guns out of that closet over there, put them on my hip, pull my shirt over, and my shirt accidentally exposes my gun, there are people who are going to take issue with that, because they feel that they shouldn't see that. It's not something they should see. Well, I'm sorry, sweetheart, you're living in a state and in a country where we have the right to bear arms, and if I accidentally flash mine, I'm sorry I'd upset your delicate sensibilities, but I'm preserving my right to do so.
Yeah, and you've gone through all the proper channels to be allowed to do so and to do that, so there's no issue.
Right.
That's the gayest pen I ever saw.
Yeah, I got it somewhere like at a doctor's office.
I'd like to ask you a question, since, again, we record here in the mother-in-law apartment /salon /man cave at Lynch's house, and somewhere in our close proximity are weapons. You'll attest to that, yes?
Yeah.
Let's even go even more than that, and let's say firearms. Only because
a weapon could be a pen.
My shoe could be a weapon.
And literally, this is something I learned at 13 when I took the hunting class.
That you're gay?
No.
Okay.
I learned that later.
Okay.
Is that you don't
Depeche
call
Mode.
everything a weapon, because it's a firearm. It's only a weapon when the intent becomes...
The intent and force.
The intent becomes to use it in that manner.
Right.
So what I'd like you to do is to get up out of your seat.
Yep.
And can you go retrieve that weapon?
Sure.
And will you make sure it's loaded?
Oh, hell no.
No, wait.
Hell no.
We're proving a point, and the point will be proven at the end of the show. But for the sake of the show.
Well, there's always a clip in there that's always loaded, so yeah.
Okay. Would you mind doing that?
Okay.
Okay. So Lynch is going to go retrieve this.
All right.
The point being, like you just said, it has to do. A gun doesn't kill people, much like a pen or a knife or fire.
It does require some intent.
Intent and force put upon it. So if you're a responsible owner, like Lynch, like you, like myself in the past, unless you put force and intent behind that firearm, nothing is going to happen. Guns don't kill people. People kill people. Okay? There it is, right there. How many? 1, 2, 5?
One.
Whole magazine? 1. Okay.
1.
Good. We're going to prove a point.
Only takes one.
Yeah, well, that's going to sit here and not kill any of us. Why? Because nobody's putting force or intent behind it. Done and done. Now, is there something, you've talked about, we're going to try to collectively solve this. What would you say? Mike is going to lead the charge. What would you say is the first move in hoping to stop the gun violence in America?
All right. First, nationally, I'd like to see handguns of any kind or anything that's classified as an assault weapon under the current guidelines. All right, needs to be 21 or over.
Nice. Okay.
All right. Now, a lot of people will be like, well, you can go in the Army and be 18, and you can't buy a beer, but we give 18-year-olds guns, and we put them in the Army. And you know what? You're right. We do. We take people that are of the age of majority, and the United States taxpayers spend... I know, because I have a nephew who's fucking doing amazing in the Army right now.
Good job, Matty.
Both of them, actually. Well, yeah, Maddie, just Maddie. Yes, absolutely. That us taxpayers spend thousands of dollars in order to train those soldiers. They don't go through a 3-week course like police officers do, 31 hours.
I got to stop you. My dad was a cop. I know how long you went through the academy.
You know what I mean? Like it's not that
I got you.
It's not that short shit. They're there for like 8 weeks and they are trained. And that's part of what I feel is the well-regulated militia part. Yes, are they technically a little young? Yes, but are we sending them out super unsupervised with weapons? No. They're only issued weapons when they're supervised under the correct conditions,
and when it's necessary,
and when it's necessary in under a wartime situation,
right.
And they're required to be soldiers.
Oh, and guess what? They are required to requalify. Yes,
and when they requalify, they're issued a weapon from the armory. They go to the range. They only load when they're told. They shoot when they're told. They unload when they're told.
Yep,
they don't do anything unless they're told. And then when it's all done, everybody's weapon is checked. The number of rounds that were fired, that were technically fired on course, is checked against everybody's rounds left in their weapon. Every piece of ammunition is counted. Every gun is checked back in.
Yep.
That is regulation.
Yep. Basically, you are 1,000% correct.
No, so here's a little thing to throw in there. Do you agree that maybe some time down the line, as a licensed gun owner, you should be requalified to make sure that you still have the physical, mental, and
I don't see a problem with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
They make me fucking go and take an eye test and check how good my... Look, they said, we passed the test so we know how to drive, right? And we've been driving without accidents.
And we never retest.
But we take an eye test and that's
it.
it.
You do.
They make sure that we can still fucking see, but nobody ever says, hey man, maybe you should try the course again. It's not until we're like really fucking old that they drop the length of time between requalifying your eyesight.
Right.
And then the one thing that I brought up before, and I'll bring up here on the show, is that I think a psychological evaluation should be necessary before you own and legally purchase a gun of any kind, whether it's a handgun, whether it's a 9mm, a revolver, an AR-15. Look, I'm gonna dispel this rumor for all of you right now. The term assault rifle is bullshit. Any rifle, God bless you, can be an assault rifle. An assault rifle, it intimates intent. If your intent is to assault, a BB gun can be an assault rifle.
Pretty much.
So stop listening to the liberal bullshit media or even the conservative bullshit media and understand that a rifle is just a rifle. No matter how many rounds it does, whether it's semi-automatic, fully automatic, one-shot Jones, doesn't matter.
I mean, I can take an AR-15 platform and strip it down and put all different parts on it and drop the pistol grip, drop all of that stuff, and I can pull it out and it'll look like any standard long gun.
One of the
I'm going to hunt with.
Right. One of the problems I have right now is that the American people are losing their shit on gun violence, but they're okay with our government giving the Ukraine weapons to give to their regular citizens to defend themselves when they don't want us to defend ourselves. Because of, look, there's 335 million people in this country. Herm, you brought up a great point. Since Columbine, there's been 157
it's like
mass shootings.
It's like 160, like between what they figured the number was about 100, and they determined it's been about 159.
Okay, I was off by a couple
mass shootings.
Okay, so
that includes like the old, like literally the old ones. The guy in the tower at whatever the university was.
At Texas.
All of those.
Okay,
all of those.
Let's put this to the side real quick. A small portion of our population is doing some horrendous things, and look, nobody is trying to downplay the loss of life, whether it's Sandy Hook, Columbine, Parkland, Florida, except David Hawk. He can go fuck himself because he wasn't there and he still wants to play the fucking victim role, or Uvalde or Buffalo or wherever. The gun doesn't kill someone. It's the intent and force put behind it that it kills someone. Now, with, like Herm said, 21 years old being a fantastic cutoff, you're entering into real adulthood. A psychiatric evaluation would be fantastic because, like I said to Herm, I go to therapy once a week. Once in a grand blue moon, I just have a hair across my ass. Life's been going good. Don't feel I need to go that week. I'll try to bullshit the therapist. I'll try to lie my face off, and the therapist picks it up. You know why? Because they're trained to do so.
Well, and the therapist will pick that up because the whole point of, and most people think therapy is about thinking that, oh, they're going to tell me I'm crazy. No. What therapy is truly about is about starting a relationship. It's about starting an open relationship and opening a dialogue between a person that you trust to be able to talk to them and to relate what's going on without feeling persecuted or demonized. It has nothing to do with being crazy. So
no.
In that aspect, yes. You could screw up. You could pass. If I first walked in and the therapist didn't know me, I could totally bullshit them. However, after knowing me and developing that relationship, they learn the nuances of their clients. I think,
agreed.
I think that there needs to be and psych eval tests are designed for pretty much any job on the planet. You can't fucking apply on Indeed without taking some sort of test that tells them how well you work in the environment, and you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So there is a test that could be devised that would ask questions the right way. If we put some of our good minds on the process and the task, to ask the questions that really need to be answered, and you can tell by their answers what's going on. You know what I mean? Like, you need a test that, it takes 30 minutes to take the test, multiple choice, done, boom. If you don't pass the test, you don't pass the test, bro.
And you don't get the weapon. But one thing that we've talked about before with the war on drugs or anything else in modern day society with the 24-hour, the internet is everything now. you're going to find a way. If you fail that test and they say, okay, Michael, you've sat down, you've done all this, we don't find you competent to own this weapon, you're going to find a way.
You might, and I guess that's the whole point of the, you're putting speed bumps and big speed bumps in, so you don't want everybody to be able to go, you know what, I hate everybody at work, I'm going to go buy a gun because I have a driver's license and kill everybody there. You want that person to be like, oh, all right, I got to take a test. All right. Well, I can't take the test till 2-3 days. If it's slow, look, if your intent is good, bro, does it matter if you can't get the gun today?
Right. Doesn't really matter.
I mean, unless somebody is like following you and trying to kill you on the spot and you need the gun right now. If you can't get the gun today and you really need it now, shouldn't that be a red flag?
A little bit, yeah.
Well, I guarantee.
I need a gun for personal protection. Do you need it right now? Yeah, kind of, but I'm going to have to wait, huh? And that's kind of the way a law-abiding citizen deals
the way
with.
It should work.
I guarantee you, I could start a timer right now. It is 7:15 on Monday. I guarantee you, by this time tomorrow, I could have an illegally obtained weapon.
Of course, because
if not faster.
Whether it's a jackass
I could make
with
a phone
van
call and
or
that shit could. I could make a couple of texts and that shit would be at my house tonight.
Yeah.
However, I'm not that guy.
Neither am I. I mean, you're not going to change you can't modify behavior overnight.
What would you do? What would you do? Because we've kind of put our stuff out there. What would be the one thing you would want to put forth as federal regulation as to obtaining firearms legally? And again, remember, the Second Amendment says we will not infringe upon your right to carry a firearm. So for those of you out there who don't believe in the Second Amendment, wow, I'm talking way faster than my mouth. Amendment, thank you. If you don't believe in the Second Amendment, fuck you. Moving along.
All right, so federally, at a federal level, I agree with everything the both of you have said. I think because our local government isn't doing such a bang-up job of preventing these crimes and preventing the access, let's
here in Connecticut they've done pretty well. The problem
I'm not talking Connecticut. I'm talking as a generalization overall.
Yeah, no. There are a bunch of fucking loose states. Absolutely, Lynch.
So
absolutely.
let's get some federal oversight on this.
Texas
and Texas,
Oklahoma.
Yeah, I'm gonna get $30 of gas. I want to get some ROC cola and give me that
6 AR-15s.
And give me that 30-06 right there. I think that the feds should step in at a federal level and guide and come up with these guidelines state to state. A lot of it, I think that every state should be the same to get a gun. I shouldn't be able to move to Texas and in 6 months get a gun just by walking in the store. It should be an umbrella policy. Let's call it.
I mean, like, I'm excited about Colorado because once I have a driver's license, I can just walk in and get a gun. Now, I'm a responsible gun owner, have been since I was 13. So for me, walking in and getting a new piece, not a big deal. It's just getting a new piece. I'm not some freak. It'll never go to the range. It'll literally sit in my house and do its job and be a protection.
Be there for when you need protection.
It's a tool when it needs to be used. It will never come out. You'll never see it. I'll never show it. It doesn't. It's in the house. That's all anybody needs to know. It's all you got.
Yeah.
Nobody knows where. That's it. However, you got to have some sort of restriction that like. It's just too easy.
Do you guys agree that my thought of that every state should be the same? It should be fair and equitable through every state. Not saying make it impossible, but make it one size fits all.
No, I agree. I think there needs to be a federal list now of minimums.
Right, and
this
you have to
has to happen.
And you have to meet or exceed these minimums.
This has to happen. Now, if you want to go like 21 test evals, even to get a long gun, you've got to get a hunting license. You can't just go get a long gun because you want it. You got to have a reason to use it.
Okay, so there draws a really great point in my mind. You got to get a hunting license before you get a gun, but you can't hunt unless you're using like a bow or a stick or a Buick without
grenades,
a gun. You know what? Grenades, yeah, right. If you listen to Joe Biden, that's what he's talking about lately. So one kind of contradicts the other. You got to get a hunting license before you get a gun, but you can't hunt without a gun unless you have a hunting license. What's the mid-range?
That is the mid-range. Is you can hunt with a bow and arrow, and all right. But if you're going to use a firearm, you need to go to a class and prove and take the test and be taught how to correctly work that firearm around the woods, where other hunters are walking around with guns as well.
Correct.
So if we're all just sending them out, fuck it. Let's just don't shoot nobody, John.
Oh, so you mean like Afghanistan?
Right.
Yeah.
So in Connecticut, you want to go hunting. So if I want to go hunting, I go and take a course. Mm-hmm. Once I've taken the course and I have that card,
it's relatively easy.
And it takes about a week, and it's nighttime or whatever. You have to put a little effort into demonstrating that you want it for that reason, man.
Correct.
All right. After that, you take that card, and I had to go down with my father and prove that I had it. But once I was 18, I can go down to Lebanon Sports Center and purchase a long gun, and then I can use it to go hunting. You prove that you've passed the test to go hunting, then they let you go get the firearm to do so. Then you go do it responsibly.
Mm-hmm. Well,
I think that's kind of your middle ground.
Well, I think insofar as the school shootings are concerned, because you can't necessarily lock down every mosque, every church, every Walmart, every shopping center.
Was most of the mass shootings, and we're not and it comes down to we're looking at assault style weapons or weapons that look like an assault weapon.
Can you hear my eyes rolling right now?
I hear them. They're grinding. It's bad. It's like sandpaper. That and handguns.
Okay.
Especially handguns, given that they're concealable.
Sure.
I can't strap a couple of AR-15s over my shoulder and walk into a building and kind of look inconspicuous. I can stuff half a dozen guns in my waistband and wear a big sweatshirt and nobody fucking knows.
Right. Yeah.
So the handguns definitely have to have some. I would say definitely some more restrictions than in order to exercise that right than a hunting.
Sure, because I could walk into a Walmart.
Right, because
carrying a 9 and no one will know it.
Right, but if you walk in with
I can't walk in with an AR-15.
Right, if you walk in with an AR-15 platform or a Remington 308 on a hunting rifle, they can see you fucking halfway across the park.
There's no way I get a 30-06 into a Walmart without being noticed.
Right, somebody saw it. Now, nobody might say nothing, but somebody saw something.
Well, depending on what state I'm in. So here's what I'm asking in regard to this. We're trying to solve this. We're 3 regular guys. We're just regular Joes with average jobs. We're suburbanite white slobs. We're trying to settle the argument insofar as the schools are concerned. In my opinion, one thing that needs to be done is, and I know this is so different than when we went to school where the doors were always open, but we're in a different time. It's a different culture. It's a different environment. The schools need to be locked from the time the kids walk in to the time the kids walk out.
They do.
Most of them do. How did this kid get in?
Uvalde?
He snuck in.
No, he didn't sneak in. One of the teachers left one of the doors that should have been locked ajar.
Don't do it. I don't give a shit. Don't do it.
But these are
How did he know that door would be ajar at that time?
He didn't. He didn't. Actually, they have him on video circling the building and looking and trying to find a way in.
I got that part, but again, lock him down.
He tried to get in.
I know it sounds stupid because this is America and we're talking lock this down and lock this down. I also think there should be, and again, if you think this is too much and you think this, I shouldn't have to pay for this, you can pay your money in taxes for this, or you can pay for the funeral of your child.
Yeah, it's
really your choice. Lock the school down and have 2 armed officers in every school.
All right, I gotta disagree with the school resource officer concept.
I'm not talking about resource officer. I'm talking about
my
retired ex-military.
I was just gonna say I have a different solution to the RSO. I would like to have fully vetted, psych-evaled, top of the line.
Good point.
Top of the line military vets that have gotten out, that have completely clear psych evals, that have excellent records, that are amazing soldiers and have not exhibited any issues. I would like to see and I would like to see one parked out in front of every school.
Amen.
And I don't want, and not in a school resource officer job. Their job isn't to police the school. Their job is to secure the grounds, and that's it. Their job is not to go in and harass the students or mess with kids and be police officers. Their job is just to keep the grounds where our most precious commodity is housed to learn.
Well put.
I agree with that as well. You got to have somebody there. Arming the teachers, in theory, could work, but then it just.
That's the other thing is school resource officers don't actually work. Do you know who usually is the hero in those situations? It's usually a school counselor or a teacher who's carrying or not carrying.
Right.
However, so given that even though they're not carrying, they're usually the ones that are the heroes, then not so much the school resource officers, because I feel a police officer is a police officer. If you put him in a school, he's just going to look for crime in the students, and that's not a good look with the kids.
No.
However, allowing teachers that have passed their classes and as far as carrying a firearm are concerned and can pass the safety courses for that, if they can carry a firearm at work, I'm all for that.
I'm not saying I'm against it. I'm just saying I don't think it's a very reasonable expectation.
I don't think it's an expectation.
But I think
if you're good with it and you're down with it, feel free to.
Right.
But I don't think we can mandate that.
No,
at all.
And I would use that in conjunction with what your idea is, the ex-military person protecting the grounds, because you don't want the kids to have an umbrella of.
They're under military rule.
Right.
He's not there for. He's not.
You
You
don't want
you.
You don't want the intimidation umbrella.
Right.
You want protection.
Right. You're not treating the kids like you're not treating the kids like Afghanis. You're treating the kids like people that you're afraid somebody might come attack, and they just got to do their thing, and your job is to be vigilant.
Right. And if that guy is doing his job properly, the guy protecting the grounds, the kids won't even know he's there. A school resource officer sticks out like a sore fucking thumb.
Because the guy that's patrolling the grounds, he's not walking around the school. He's concerned with the outside and not involving himself in the day-to-day life of the school. The only thing that guy gets is good morning when the kids come in and afternoon when they leave.
See you tomorrow.
Yeah, he could look like Johnny the janitor. Nobody
That's what I'm
the
saying.
difference.
He doesn't have to walk around in full-on camo. The man is literally just there and armed.
Well, and that adds to the element of surprise when Johnny Fuckstick walks down the street with an AR strap to his back.
But there is somebody there, and we're not talking about a police officer who the police have a tendency lately to be all about preserving their life, not preserving the life.
Do you think that has something to do with the fact that a bunch of people have said defund the police and fuck the police and firebomb police?
No, I don't think it's that. I think that I think that's a separate subject, but I think the police do a big focus on preserving themselves and not look. You get to walk around in that uniform, big chested, and you're the motherfucking man all the time, dude. And all right, you know what? I'll give you that. But you know what? Every now and fucking then, you got to run into that fucking school.
Serve and protect.
You have to serve and protect, and every now and then,
and you're not protecting yourself
as a police officer.
It's a selfless act,
right?
Bingo.
And I think there's a lot of departments that are more worried about protecting their officers than protecting the people they're serving.
Didn't we just have one? Didn't we just have one in Connecticut where he shot the kid 7 times?
Yeah.
Within 5 seconds.
And that's kind of my logic with the veterans.
Yeah.
These guys have been trained through the Army to when people are shooting at them, they walk.
Let's not pigeonhole the Army. Marines. You got Marines.
Oh, no. Yeah. The military in general. If I have no disrespect for any other branch. It just was in my head. But for veterans in general, They have been trained to not worry about that and protect what they need to protect and fight for what they need to fight for under those conditions.
And they're very well trained.
And they don't run away, even if they're
very well trained.
Very well trained.
I'm just going to leave it at that.
They're any branch of the military is so much more trained than any police officer anywhere.
And that's a shame that more former military police, military police, or just military members aren't becoming law enforcement officers. Because I've talked to several people who were in the military as MPs or just a regular military grunt. They don't want to be a bullet sponge. And, I can't say I don't blame them. But again, it's the society we live in where we have people, like Chris said, espousing the views that, all cops are bastards. They're there just doing their job, man. And of course, there's going to be that one guy, Johnny Triggerfinger, who's going to pull the trigger when he shouldn't have, and make it difficult to have the public view the police in a protective and non-hostile and threatening way.
Well, the whole
that's never going to go away.
The whole defund the police thing, embolden all the criminals.
Yep.
Well, it just gives them.
Dude, the police ain't shit. They trying to get rid of them. Fuck it, we doing what we do.
Canonizing a double felon who was in the process of committing 2 felonies who did not. I'm going to say this really softly, and I'm going to force you guys to listen. 2 cops trying to take down a man who was in the process of committing 2 felonies did not have to die. I am not condoning the death of this man. I am telling you that this man should not be on T-shirts, on billboards, on murals. George Floyd is not a fucking hero. The cops were not fucking heroes that day. Did they stop a crime? Yes.
No.
Did George Floyd have to die?
No.
What I'm saying is people should be held accountable, much like these shooters should be held accountable. Not Lynch, not Herm, not me, not people who are responsible with firearms because you think the gun kills people. By the way, how many people have been shot right now, Lynch? None. Because there was no force and intent put behind that fucking weapon. And the sooner you bleeding heart cunts learn this, the better off you'll be. And I'm really actually, you know what? I love this concept, and I'm not mad at you, Herm. I'm mad at the people. And I don't care. I'm mad at you because you think, oh, just outlaw guns and everything will be great. How's that working in Britain with more stabbings and more fire bombings and more, drug-related incidents than they've had in 15 years? But, hey, the guns are outlawed. You know what happens when they took guns away from the German people? Do you want to go read a history book? Do you really want to go back and talk about what happens when you unarm society? No, you don't. You want to play the bleeding heart game. Fuck you. You got something to say, junctiondysfunctionshow@gmail.com. We'll plug you in on the phone. I don't care if you're in New Zealand, Groton, Connecticut, Lafayette, Indiana. I don't care if you're in fucking Uvalde, Texas.
We got listeners in France and Germany, too.
I
don't know where them motherfuckers are.
I don't know how to say bring it on in French or in German, but bring it on.
Bring it on.
With a croissant.
Bring it on.
Oh, croissant.
No! God damn it, Herm.
I thought it was time to break out my nipple.
It was not time to break out the nipple.
I'm sorry.
Now I'm going to have nightmares like Emma's having. Sweet little Emma Burns, no relation, my daughter.
No relation, just my daughter.
That's a new gimmick I came up with. You liked it, I'm glad.
No relation, just my daughter.
My daughter, who, no relation, who is actually graduating fucking middle school in a week and a half.
Yay!
And has talked to me about this subject on more than one occasion every time something like this comes up. And I tell her the same thing. I'm like, Emma, it's not the weapon, it's the person, it's the intent. You've lived in a house where a weapon was there, you didn't even know it. You've lived, you've gone to your grandparents' house where there's weapons in the house. My mother-in-law, I still call her my mother-in-law, I always will. I love Karen to death, Karen Nannery, or Karen Swan, as it were. And John Swan, my father-in-law, she's in the house. I knew where the weapons were, but Emma didn't. Those weapons didn't kill anybody because there was no intent and force put behind it.
Right.
This is the part where people need to stop much like we did the Roe versus Wade thing weeks ago, now with the gun control thing, you guys need to think with your minds and not with your hearts, because your mind is the greatest weapon you have.
Well, and see, here's the reason why the government hasn't really stepped up. You all know what's going to happen the minute the feds get involved. Like Herm said earlier, they're coming to get my guns.
Right.
We're not talking.
I've heard that for years.
Both extremes are going to lose their shit.
We're not talking about taking your guns. If you already own an AR-15, fine, you're grandfathered. If you already have the 30-round mags, fine, you're grandfathered.
But if you do something stupid next week, you might lose it, dumbass.
Exactly.
And that's what another part of the recidivism on gun violence, or not gun violence, but people picked up on weapons charges. It's sickening how short a sentence they get. And a lot of times it's suspended, time served, and they just go back out on parole. And they're ordered not to be around people with weapons or own weapons themselves, and yet they get pulled over at a fucking traffic stop. What do they have? They got a handgun on them. They got a handgun on them.
Tucked on the seat.
Or their buddy has one tucked underneath the driver's seat. Doesn't matter. You're in the car. Guess what? You're
guilt by association.
Exactly.
Oh yeah.
And I personally feel, I don't think that the enforcement of these in prison time on these charges aren't quite what they should be.
I'm going to prove a point. Keep going.
Now I get that we have more white collar crime and more guys who transported.
I'll wait to prove my point.
Guys in prison who are there for white collar, blue collar crime, whatever, and in nonviolent charges like marijuana possession, enough dope that the court considered it and the law considered it that you were means of distribution.
Right.
I'd rather have those guys pumped out back into society, because guess what? You arrest Moonbeam Unit for having a bale of pot in their car.
What did the Zappas have to do with this?
I'm really glad somebody got that reference.
You're welcome.
He's not the guy I'm worried about. The guy I'm worried about is the guy who's been racked up on 3 or 4 weapons charges in a year and is still out on the streets. Because, I don't know, we're recycling the wrong people through the court system.
Understood.
And put the actual violent criminals, or those who are involved with or associated with violent crime, let's put them back in jail.
Understood. Hey, Croissant McGee, are you back?
I am.
I'm going to prove my point. Talk
right.
amongst yourselves for a second. Go ahead.
Right. Blah, 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 blah. What are we talking about? Uh-oh. What's he doing? Uh-oh.
Oh, boy.
All right. So I'm behind Lynch's microphone. What I have in my hand is what looks to be a 1963 Les Paul Epiphone Tobacco Sunburst. This thing's gorgeous.
Yep,
now,
that's definitely what it is.
If I hold it like this...
Oh, it's a guitar.
My intent is to play music.
It's a guitar.
Right. Now if I'm Jeff fucking Jarrett and I hold it like this...
Oh, now it's a weapon.
Exactly. Guess what? Guitars don't kill people.
Jeff Jarrett does.
Fucking guns.
Jeff Jarrett does.
Intent. J-E-double-F. Ha ha. J-A-double-R-E-double-T. That's Hall of Famer Jeff Jarrett. Fuck.
Remember, folks, it's not the fall that kills you; it's that sudden stop at the end.
Sudden stop. Careful. The first step.
That's a killer.
The first step is a doozy.
Now, for all of you out there who want to continue to cry the blues, have I made my point? Because if not, I have one other weapon in this room that I can use to prove my point.
I got one right here in my hand.
Oh, there you go. Tell us about it.
All right, so it's a Bic pen, the black top and the little see-through body.
Oh, those are the old ones.
This is old school.
By the way, has that gun killed anybody
yet? No, it's still sitting there.
All right, just checking.
Wait, I think I saw it move.
That was just me.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
I can pull this pen out, put the cap on the butt end, and I'm going to write something down.
Okay. He's going to write thank you, fuck you, bye. Probably to me.
I just wrote my name.
Okay.
Now, you do something to piss me off. I take this off.
Just stab me in the throat.
I turn this around. I put a little fucking pin in here. Put this back together. Guess what? I got a fucking shank that I can stab Chris in the eye with, or Mike. In 30 seconds, I can change this to a weapon.
I would have just used the pen. I wouldn't
even
I want to do
that.
I want to do maximum fucking damage.
I'm going to stab you in the throat and watch your blood pour out.
I'm going to stab you in the throat and just snap that sucker off.
There you go.
Well,
Now you can't get the motherfucker out.
I'm going for maximum carnage.
Okay. Cool.
And again, to reinforce Chris's point, anything you can put in your hands and exert enough force with to cause trauma or blunt trauma or puncture, you're using it as a weapon. And that's why people say, oh, they racked him with assault with a deadly weapon when he was only driving a car. A car is a deadly weapon if used improperly.
If used improperly, yes, sir.
Would you care to describe to the nice folks what I have in my hand right now?
That is a glass beer. That is a glass beer boot from Germany.
Yes.
Oh, it's very nice. It's dusty as fuck. You should really clean up around here.
He doesn't drink out of it.
Oh, that's
anymore.
true. He doesn't drink anymore. So let it collect dust.
Yes.
But it's sexy as hell, isn't it?
Yeah.
Now, on its own,
dude, if you hit somebody with the heel end of that fucking thing, that
is easily 3/4 of an inch thick glass right there.
That's blunt force trauma right there.
Right. But if I were to smash this against the table, Jagged Edge Jones, and stab you in the chest, throat, eye, gimmick.
Ooh, I like where this is going.
Is this now not a deadly weapon?
Absolutely.
Now, if I put this right here in front of me, and I were to fill it with delicious goodness like, I don't know, Coca-Cola or Miller Lite or Crown. If it was Crown Royal, I'd be dead by the end of the episode.
You'd be dead halfway through the heel.
Miller Genuine Draft.
Why would I do that?
We used to with Golden
I know.
Fruits.
That was back when we were 20 years younger and 50 pounds lighter.
We used to drink Golden Fruits.
I know. But this right here, this is a deadly weapon if put in the wrong hands.
If you decide to use it that way.
Do the folks in the back hear this? Seriously? Do me a quick favor.
Yeah.
Take a picture of this sumbitch, and we'll put it on the page. In fact, I'll put my Pepsi bottle right inside of it so they know when they listen that this is actually, I'm going to just put my little Vanna White hands right here, and they'll see it. This is a deadly weapon. It's certainly, when force and intent are put upon it, a deadly weapon. That orange Home Depot bucket could be a deadly weapon. The cords all over this room could be a deadly weapon. But the only thing in this room that I can't see being a deadly weapon is Bruce, because he's in water, and your Viagra car that Corey gave to you. By the way, watch the Speed Review every Wednesday on YouTube and Facebook Live, because I have to do the cheap plug or else I'm not doing my job right. Do you guys get the difference now? Not you here in the studio, you at home. Do you understand the fucking difference now? I'm gonna go put this back. I don't let the gentleman talk. Excellent. And I use gentleman very loosely.
Very, very loosely.
Extremely loose.
All right, so far we've got we're looking at mandatory across the board, 21 years of age for anything that's classified as an assault weapon and a handgun.
Correct.
All right, we're looking for definite vetting processes regardless of what the gun is, as far as psychological is concerned.
The evaluation.
And as far as criminal record is concerned. Regardless of whether you're a tax-paying individual or not. All right, so it's a good start.
Well, and then you got.
I mean, it's restrictions that all of us.
Well, and here's the key: they're not
as Second Amendment supporters feel aren't really. I don't feel they infringe on rights yet.
Not at all.
No, and
not at all.
They're not unrealistic. Honestly, they're not. I mean, it's not unrealistic to ask somebody to go through that.
There's one thing I want to add to this.
It would only take.
It's an extra couple weeks.
No, but literally, like to start this, it literally only takes like one or two little things to just start a bill.
Right.
And you can always add to a bill and change a law, but can we do something to slow down what's going on and come up with something that doesn't infringe on rights? But
there's one other thing that I thought about, and I was unsure how to bring it up, but it's a really good time to bring it up now. Is much like when you drive a car, you must have car insurance. Now, when you buy a weapon, I think maybe there should be weapon insurance. Sure, it's a hassle, but if you want that weapon, you pay the insurance. If you're a law-abiding citizen, you probably won't cry the blues. But if you're a law-abiding citizen who one day goes off the deep end, all sorts of falling down style, and you shoot up a bunch of people, and you're not a coward, and you live to tell about it, you now have to pay out to the people who you harmed. Now, a lot of these shooters either take the easy way out or they're shot by the cops.
Right.
So there has to be some sort of restitution if you come exactly. They all have an easy way out. Now, the insurance is for you. It's not for the people. It should be if you're Mike or Chris or Lynch or whoever, the insurance is for you. In the unlikely event that, say, you have your family over for Thanksgiving and little 6-year-old Johnny wanders in and somehow finds your weapon, it should be locked up, first of all. But if it's not, finds your weapon and shoots his fucking brains out and paints the wall like Kurt Cobain, yeah, it should be there. That family deserves something. You don't deserve to go to jail, but there deserves something. Now, if you go shoot up a school and you get caught alive, and if you're a law-abiding citizen, like we are talking about, and you go do something silly like this...
Well, yeah, that would be like accident insurance to cover it, but something deliberate like that, you're on your own, bro.
So then it goes to my second point.
You'll never find an insurance company that will... Goes
to my second point. Life without parole or death penalty if your state allows that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm going to take this yoga mat and beat the shit out of Lynch. I just found me a new weapon.
Yay!
You son of a bitch! You
Ow.
make dumb comments! I fucking hate it! Stop it!
Oh, that feels good. That feels good. That's nice.
I think he likes it.
That's nice.
Ban the yoga mat.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's nice.
That's nice. We're getting there, and this is...
Well, I mean,
this is honestly the conversation that...
I think we're getting closer than anybody in the fucking government wants to get.
Well, and these are the conversations that need to be held between both sides of the aisle, at the local level and at the federal level.
And not only the both sides of the aisle, let's expand this. I mean, I'm sure you've gone on your Instagram or Facebook or Twitter or whatnot. I'm sure all of us have seen the different sides, ban the gun or don't ban the gun or hold the people accountable. You're allowed to think what you think. Much like I say about the trans movement, much like I say about, the drug wars or whatever. You do you, bro, or broette, or shim, or whoever you want to be. What is a shim?
Shimmer.
Piece of wood that's made like an
angle, it kind of looks like a piece of pie, but it's like cheesecake from ShopRite that we used to. Never mind. You don't even know what we did with the cheesecake.
You don't need to know.
No, but just because you have an opinion doesn't mean it's right. Our opinion may not be right, but at least we are sitting down and having a conversation and trying to find a means to an end. And if you can't have that conversation, you know what? Just shut the fuck up.
It's the middle ground, bro. The
Exactly.
problem is everybody wants absolutes to the far left or right of one side.
You know what?
And it's really, truly about the middle ground.
You know what? I wanted to put this in the hat 2 weeks ago.
Give and take.
And I didn't. But I'm going to ask Herm. I was going to save this for next questions from the hat, but I'll ask you today because you and I are diametrically opposed on one particular subject. If you died tomorrow and you met God, whereas I know you're not, your faith is what it is. You've often said, I'm kind of skeptical, this, that, and the third, and you're at the pearly gates, and God calls you in, and you walk in, and he goes, dude,
I'm not worried.
You good cooking motherfucker. I'm glad to have you here. And he says, I'll grant you one request. My question to you is, would you ask for that one day? Just give me 24 more hours so I can tell people, I'm sorry, everything I said was wrong. Dude does exist.
Nope.
Why not?
Doesn't need to be said.
Okay. So you see where I'm going with this, and you see we're not at loggerheads here.
First of all, it doesn't matter if I'm right to anybody of faith. They already thought.
But you see where I'm going with this.
But it doesn't matter to me either.
But we're having a civil conversation about it.
Right. But to me, it doesn't matter because if I get up there and he's real, I still win because he's the God and he's forgiving and I'll be absolved of my sins, so I'm good.
Exactly.
So if I'm
Exactly.
wrong,
or if you die and you just end up worm food, you're right either way.
I'm right either way. If I'm wrong, then I'm still right.
But you see where I'm going with this, right?
I do, but I do. I just choose.
Do you knuckleheads in the back see what I'm talking about?
I choose. So it's just not my thing.
Understood.
They're too busy munching crayons.
Exactly.
There are people that's their thing, but I don't.
Stop licking the window.
But I don't think that thing should be the basis of how.
But you see where I'm going with this
I
question.
do. I just don't think that something of faith should be how you base political views.
Nor do I. But you see
not
where
centrally.
you see where the question was going.
Absolutely.
In the years I've known you, I'm not going to say how many. Actually, maybe I will. In the 30 years that I've known you, you've had your questions. You've had your skepticism, if you will. I have wavered. I've been in, been out, been in, been out. I'm in right now, and I've never given you shit for it. You've never made rude, crass comments like the invisible spaghetti monster in the sky, like others
No, I mean,
have.
for me, it comes down to there are things that have happened in my life that if he was what everybody says he was, what was I'm not sure what the lesson I'm still not sure what the lesson I was supposed to learn.
It all depends on which faith you are, because there are faiths that say you have to be God-fearing. And there are others that say like God is all-loving.
It literally depends what
it's your interpretation,
what bridge you take,
pretty much.
So but for me, it's all wait. You guys are all kind of talking about the same person, but they're all different too.
Well,
like
person, deity, whatever.
Right, you know what I mean. But they all have the same basic concept, and they're all we're
much like this weapon that is sitting in front of us has not killed a single person while we've been sitting here.
Right.
But people want to blame the weapon for doing the damage when it's not the weapon, it's the person and the intent and the force put behind it.
Right, and the ease of access to that particular individual to that firearm.
And I'll put it to you like this. When I was 6 or 7, I remember being handed a couple bucks by either my mom or my uncle or somebody. Run in there and get me a pack of cigarettes. 6 years old. You know what I came out with? Marlboro Reds.
Yeah, they're for my mom, and you just get them and buy them, and that's it.
And they look out the window and they see mom sitting in the front seat and they wave, or Uncle Joe or whoever. They sell you the smokes, you go outside. You know how many times at 9 years old I would go in and be like, I need a can of Kodiak. It's for my uncle. He's down the street. Okay.
Never. You only went down to buy cigarettes when an adult asked you to buy cigarettes.
Yeah, but the way to get around it was they've seen your face, and now you can do whatever you like.
Right.
That's what I'm not saying ban it. I'm never going to say ban it. I'm a big believer in the Second Amendment. I'm saying more regulation is better.
A little bit of regulation won't hurt.
A little bit of regulation might go a long way.
Right. I mean, you a couple.
An ounce of prevention.
Let's try a couple of things, see what happens, and go from there. This is America. If we don't like it, we can change it, but we got to do something.
Agreed, and I think some of the points that we brought up here tonight have been fantastic. And Lynch, I'm real curious. You've chimed in on everything. You've had great points. If there's one thing you'd like to see federally, governmentally, happen nationally, thank you, as a broad United States big-ass umbrella, the 50 states and the 6 territories, that we could do to just try to curb this some way, what would it be?
I think it goes to my nationalization of the gun laws. It should be the same in every state, so there is absolutely no mistake what the guidelines and standards are and what your qualifications should be. I'm for retesting, either randomly or through you at a certain age, just like driving, you have to start retesting. Make sure that you're still physically, mentally, and educated enough to handle that weapon. Now, look, folks, these crimes are not just going to go away overnight. It's not. I can't flip a switch and say, all right, no more gun violence. Because guess what? It's still going to happen. Some people who are criminals who will have unlimited access to weapons at their disposal will still do dumb shit, do dumb things, win dumb prizes.
Is it just me, or am I the only one looking around the studio for things to kill Lynch with that we can ban going forward?
I mean,
I think it's just you.
And probably just me.
It's never going to...
I'm a sick fuck.
Shut the fuck up.
Yes, ma'am.
The cycle of violence isn't going to stop until we respect ourselves as a race and as human beings to not take each other's lives.
That's a really great point.
If I can close on that point, that's where I would close. I think a lot of it is just miseducation, lack of oversight. Now, I'm going to tell you a little story about when I got re-gun qualified. You're supposed to, by state minimum regulations, fire 10 rounds at a target to make sure you're actually able to shoot a gun. Place I got, I'm not going to dox the guy, but place I did, just do 5 and we'll figure out the other 5 shots.
Interesting.
So when I say oversight, that means the people who are also training you to handle this weapon.
Yeah, they need to make the call. Like, look, you didn't do it. That not just because you paid your money doesn't mean you get it. You paid your money to try to get it.
I want to do this the right way. Don't half-ass this. This is one thing. If there's one thing in the world you don't want to half-ass, is handing out
qualifying somebody on
handing out a fucking gun permit.
Nope.
That is one thing you don't want to half-ass.
You don't want to cut corners on that.
And that kind of took me aback. And I was never able to get a hold of the guy since then. His little shop is open when he feels like it. Again, I'm not going to dox the guy. He's making a living. I just don't think he's making an honest living. And he's not making it the way that I would run that business. But that's me. That is where some oversight needs to be held. You should be getting all the same tests. It shouldn't be different state to state. It's in the Constitution. It should be something that's federally oversought and federally regulated. And at the point where the states can propose changes to their state constitution, I think that should still be allowed, but it has to be approved by a federal agency.
Agreed.
Oversight. And I think that we in the last...
and there's no legislating to below the minimums.
Correct. We can't delegislate ourselves out of it.
No,
once we pass this,
you want to pass legislation to be even more restrictive, feel free. This is the minimum.
Right. You can
this is it.
You can overlaw yourself and then chip away at
and that's for the residents of your state to deal with.
And then if you want
to the minimums that we as a country have decided this is where it starts.
And if you want to chip away at those because you wrote laws that were so fucking over the top,
feel free to fight that.
Feel free to fight it.
As
long as you're maintaining the minimum, the federally mandated minimum.
Right. You've got to uphold the minimum. You can fight that you want it less than the minimum, but you've got to fight it.
And you better have a goddamn good reason.
Right.
And I'm not saying I'm a genius. I'm not saying anything like that. I just think that why are we not looking at it from that perspective? Where we're letting states, we let the states, 2 or 3 states pass laws against abortion just because they could. It's now illegal to have an abortion in almost a handful of states.
Texas, Oklahoma, Mississippi.
Right. Yeah. Mississippi is literally literally 5 minutes after you had sex, you're done.
Yeah, that's it. To me, that's horseshit. But I said my piece on that episode.
Absolutely.
But we give the states that right to make that ultimate choice.
But they do like gay marriage, and you have the states vote, and the majority wins, and now gay marriage is a thing, and I'm not opposed to it. You want to marry whoever you want, as long as it's not a donkey or a Camaro. I don't give a fuck. Marry who you want to marry. Live the life you want. But again, don't ask me to, if I don't like it, to accept it. And much like these gun laws, there are going to be people which, if this goes federal, and a lot of the things we talked about here today were to go enacted into federal law, and I just don't like it. It's not for you to like. The people have spoken.
I don't like getting stopped at a fucking alcohol check when I haven't been drinking, but you know what? I do it, and I hand over my license and my insurance.
Shit happens. Life goes on.
And out of the 5 minutes it's going to inconvenience my day. Fuck it. They're out doing. They're doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Before we close out, and you guys, thank you. I thank you both, and I thank anybody who's listened to us today and maybe gained some insight, wisdom, and courage to move forward and say what you want to say, because that's what we do. I want to throw a couple shout-outs real quick. Thank you to Tom Goins and Tommy Summers, who loved the boot picture.
My boy Tommy.
Why do I know that name?
He went to school with me, with us.
I don't remember him.
You know, he was little and tiny then. He's not now.
I was high most of high school. I apologize. But you guys remember Tommy Summers from the Build-A-Band episode?
Yep.
John Taylor, you missed the point once again, but that's not unusual because you miss the point all the fucking time. And to the rest of you, don't miss the point. We have a right under the Constitution, which, by the way, you don't have a right to an abortion from the Constitution, but we're working on it. We're working on it. We're working on it. We have a right. Our right to bear arms shall not be infringed, not by Sleepy Joe, not by Cocksucker Kamala, not by anybody else. But we need to do something. And they say we need to do something. Well, we've done more in 90 minutes than the current administration or past administrations
than any administration has done.
Ever fucking done. So you know what? Dysfunction Junction for President 2024.
Word.
We'll be a three-headed monster. Depending on what day it is, you'll get one of us at the podium.
You could get, you don't even know.
Pray.
Somebody will be there. Pray it's not Herm.
I was going to say pray it's not me, but pray it's Lynch.
Okay.
You're the most diplomatic of all three of us.
Yeah,
Yes.
I can say that.
Yes.
You're also the ugliest of the three of us.
I could also say that too.
Okay, well, it's the hat. It's nothing but the hat. You're wearing a Red Sox hat and a Phillies shirt. This is the time where I want to hear the drums. Seriously.
This is what I can put on my New York shoes.
Oh, my God. On that note, we're going to have a quick 15-minute film review next week. I've given these boys marching orders. We're going to come in with a film review next week. And we'll have a topic sometime during the week. And hopefully we'll get our guest.
And the film is Debbie Does Dallas.
See, this is why we can't have nice things.
This is why we cannot have nice things.
No, see? Give me the boot. We're out. I'll talk to you guys next week.
Later. Goodbye, everybody.